that will be canvassed. It's difficult to speculate. I think, in a sense, they've said the group writers, one of their issues, and they've said they're ready to discuss the issue. So you can't indicate exactly which issues they will give in and what issues they will not give in. I think what will count in the final analysis will be how much we put our struggle forward to achieve what we want. I don't think we could say, look, this is what the government is ready to give in on. It's difficult to say that. Of course, this question, in a sense, also relates to what we do then in the struggle, like the 4 pillars. The MK question. Well, that's a complex question. It's not a simple question. Partly this is what I wanted to contribute on, slightly different than than the manner in which the question has been posed. I'd wanted to deal with the question of the criticisms that have come from some quarters in the country criticizing the ANC because it is discussing the obstacles with the government. And people are saying, this is selling out. And some people are saying the ANC did not consult us. Organizations. I'm not talking about our own people. I'm talking about people who are not our own, who have never consulted with us or wanted to consult with us on any other issue. Certainly they see the need for us to consult them. Now, I think, comrades, this is an important area, and it will come back to the questions raised. An important area to look at, because at times people, and I've known of no liberation movement that has went into any discussions willingly. It is always regarded as some sellout of some kind. That's a general thing, and it's natural, and you can't blame anyone. I've had an occasion, I'm not among those who left early 60s, I'm among those who left mid-70s. I didn't see many liberation movements in Africa, but at least I saw the Zimbabweans. And I had an occasion to look at them when they were going to Lancaster House. I was with them in Mozambique. They were literally taken and bundled into the plane to negotiate and to come out with a solution, whether they like it or not. There was a famous meeting where the presidents of the frontline states called 2 leaders of the Patriotic Front, Goma and Mugabe. Somewhere outside Africa, there was a meeting of the Non-Aligned Movement. And they called them and they said, brothers, we have decided that the issue of Rhodesia must be negotiated, and we have to go to the talks. And there were 3 presidents of the states in the region, and they said, if you don't want to go, then please don't fight from our countries. Pack your bags and fight from your own country, if you don't come back with the solution. And that president was speaking, and he looked to his colleagues and said, am I expressing our decision? The other one said, yes. And he looked at the second one, am I expressing our decision? The other one said, yes. So they were actually forced, unprepared, to the Lancaster. And they were complaining as they were going there, up to the last moment, in fact. And nobody could complain in Zimbabwe that the armed struggle was not on. If you remember, I'm sure many of us were grown up already. They were talking about liberated zones. So you couldn't say it was because of the shortage of the armed struggle in Zimbabwe. It was very much there. And they were feeling they're about to take power. But they came across a moment where they had to negotiate. In fact, if you think seriously, hardly any struggle that has ended up with someone standing with his AK-47 on top of his former oppressor and saying, now I've defeated you. Many of them have ended up at the end of the day because of specific conditions that people had to come together and talk. Angola and Mozambique, the popular ones, they ended so because of the conditions in Portugal. So at some point in the struggle, this moment comes. Our 4 pillars, they could add more, we could subtract if you wanted to, are part of our efforts and methods to achieve our victory. And they were not all there at the beginning, and at the end there may be more than 4, they may not be all there at the end. It depends how the struggle moves. And I think it is important for us to take that point. And I'll come back to it, to the people who are critical at this point in time. We have, at a certain stage of our history, added these pillars. One of them that we added in 1960 was the arms struggle. Conditions had arisen that we had to fight. If certain conditions did not arise, we might perhaps not have declared the arms struggle like many African countries. Conditions came where we thought it was time that we declared the arms struggle. We added the arms struggle pillar. And because we were banned, we divided that pillar into 2. The underground, at the political level and at the military level. And by 1960, I think, already the leadership of the ANC had seen the necessity of adding a pillar of the isolation of South Africa. I think you will remember that Chief Luthuli was the first to call for disinvestment in 1959. By then, the ANC had seen the need to isolate South Africa. We have argued that case for many years. That's a pillar that came, in fact, at the point when the ANC leadership realized the conditions were changing in South Africa because the banning was coming. It was clear to some people that we were heading for that kind of situation. So these pillars have been added as we go along, as the conditions arise. And as we add them, they become part of our arsenal. They become part of our instruments to use in order to achieve victory. I think for these people have gone to prison, have gone to exiles, have lost their lives in many ways. We have trained the MK to become an army, to effect our ideas and our decisions to overthrow the government. And it has been, I think, the efforts of that army that have contributed to the situation in South Africa deepening into a crisis. And the isolation of South Africa being nice, is being courteous and saying let us talk. But the fact of the matter, diplomatically perhaps it may not be said,